Okay, hi everyone. It is Wednesday, which means it is time for another mini mayhem. I am Vee Mus'e. I will be your miniature painter for the day today. And this is one of those things where when I was first showing you the Magic the Gathering miniatures, for those who are regulars here, a lot of you responded to this mini, which is why I was very much keyed into trying to make sure that we did a how to paint series for this. So if you are new to this channel, welcome. Thank you so much. This is Mini Mayhem, where I show you some really great WizKids miniatures every single week on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. here on this channel. And every so often we kind of change it up a little bit and we'll put in things like miniature painting or reviews or things of that type of nature. So what we're going to be doing for the next couple weeks is doing this How to Paint Magic the Gathering Unpainted Miniatures Isperia Law Incarnate Mini. And it is this particular miniature that I am talking about. She is lovely. It's a wonderful sculpt. I cannot wait to start getting my hands and paints onto this. And oh, hi everybody in the chat. It's so good to see some very familiar names. So hello, Ron. Hello, Dwight. Hello, Jake. Hello, Dan. I think that's everyone. And it's one of those things where what I really want to do with this particular series is show you my process in terms of how I get to approaching painting larger miniatures. Because a lot of the questions I get, hello Viper Taha, because a lot of the questions I get with large, this is bugging me. Hold on, this is sort of like giving you an internet hug in a way. That's better. Streamer and camera positioning, oh, it's a good thing. So this is one of those things where I wanted to explain how I approach painting a larger miniature, because oftentimes people ask me, how do you know what you want to do, where you're going to put the paint and everything like that? So I think it's important to explain that. I'm also going to discuss some prep work as well in terms of what I do ahead of time with these larger miniatures. And then we're going to go into getting some paint on this beauty because she's gorgeous. The other thing you're probably noticing right now is that my lighting is drastically different. First and foremost, hello Mike Hawkins. First and foremost, the thing that I always highly encourage, especially for newer painters, is if you can paint in natural light. It is the very best. It shows things off for you beautifully. It prevents eye strain and all that wonderful stuff that can happen with miniatures and a bunch of different lights and everything like that. And because there's like, almost half of me high snow, I'm not even kidding. We got like, I think it's almost like 3 feet in some areas. It's really reflective out there. So I am using this strange thing called the sun, and I am letting it shine into my room so that I can actually have, you'll see this on the overhead, so I can actually have the type of lighting that I prefer to paint with. So that's why the lighting here is a little bit different than the whole big studio lighting, everything going on there. Oh, hello. I was reading and speaking at the same time. Never works out. Hello, Cody Sharp. You're painting the I can never say this one. Borygamos, I think. Borygamos. I don't know. A little footnote here, people. I am not a Magic the Gathering player. I am not at all familiar with the game. Any little inkling I have it is from the crossover with D&D, so there is that. But I am excited about this miniature because the miniature is stunning. So let's talk about my process first and foremost, and let's talk about the miniature. If you're interested in getting this miniature, oh, you know what, sweetheart? We are going to hide this one and put up these. Yes. So, okay, so this is going to rotate through the various photos. At least it should. We shall see. There we go. Okay, so originally this is from Magic the Gathering. Here is the card for it. I have no idea what it means, but that's the card. And you can see there's that great artwork. And then this is the miniature itself. Those are the, that's the packaging you expect when you go into your FLGS. These are something that are already out in stores for the first wave. 13 is the wave that it was part of. So Magic the Gathering miniatures are in your FLGS friendly local game store. I do highly recommend that you contact them, ask them if they have this available and that type of thing. And when you go in, it's going to be in one of the larger blisters, and it is going for $14.99 MSRP. SKU is down in the description below. If you are not sure where there is a local game store near you, there is also a link in the description below where you can click on that, plug in your information, and it'll give you a series of stores within your area that you can contact who carry WizKids products. And you can also check online. There are various sources online. Miniature Market, Amazon, and things like that are also good resources if local is not an option for you. And today on Voices with V, yes, if you're new, I also will lapse between different voices. I'm a DM. It happens. So we have that officially out in the open now. And so what I'm going to focus on here, let me hide you, bring you up. So what I'm going to focus on is, instead of looking at just the render strictly itself, I am a big fan of making the miniatures look as much like the artwork in the books as much as possible. So I am taking the artwork from the card, and I'm going to do my best to get an approximation, not exactly, but get an approximation of this particular look to Isperia, because this is the one this one spoke to me, okay? This is the one I want to do. So what I do is I will sit down with this photo and I kind of take a look and analyze at the colors that I'm going to need palette-wise. So very clearly I'm looking at creams and taupes, lighter golds, these vivid teal blues, lighter blues, and lavenders. So already I know in my mind what paints I need to drift toward to start getting things pulled together. Then what I will do is look at the miniature itself. Okay, so I look at this mini, and I'm going to flip to the overhead now. So what I will do is I will look at this mini and just sort of break down the areas that I know I want to attack and, well, not attack, but address. There's the word I want. The areas I want to address, and then break down what paint colors I'm going to use in that respect. Also, if my music is slightly louder, because I wanted to hear it too today, because when I miniature paint, I love to listen to music. So if my music is overpowering me, let me know and I fix. So I basically broke her down into different sections. You have her face, you have the armor, you have the wings, you have the body, you have the feathers, and then you have little accents. So basically what I did, you're gonna see my chicken scratch. If you can read my handwriting, good on you. But basically I have this all broken down into what I'm gonna do for each of these sections, all right? And from there, I look at the paints I have. I will be using Vallejo paints today. I will also be explaining paint color to you in terms of, if you don't have Vallejo paints, what would be a comparable color, just in a generic name. Nothing fancy like, you know, oddball blue. I don't know, I'm making up names. But I'll be like, you know, light blue, dark blue, cobalt blue, things like that. So with the face, I break down the colors that I'm seeing from the artwork. So if you look at the artwork in the lower corner there, I basically am grabbing a sky blue. I'm going for Warlord purple because of the tones that are on the muzzle, essentially, of the face, as well as I'm considering the highlights. So I know for the highlights, I want to go in and use the Stonewall Gray to help highlight things up. So I'm not completely changing the color blue, but it helps sort of just enhance her features. And then also the Ghost Gray for the eyes. All right, so these are all the colors I know I'm going to use on the face. It breaks it down for me. I'll also look at the wings, because the wings have a lot going on there. So here with the wings, I know I'm going to do this layering effect, looking at what I have going on here with the wings. You can almost see these 3 tiers, okay? So this is going to be one color, this is going to be another color, and this is going to be a third color, okay? But it's a gradient step. So it's not going to be all the same color wing. It's actually going to go from a darker down to a lighter tone, all running in the taupe family. And I'll show them right here for you so you can see. So you can see here, I have these Vallejo paints. Basically, this is going to be at the upper portion, mid portion, end. That's the coloration I want to have going on there. If you look at actual animals and things like that, you will see that their wings take on different hues the further away they get from the main bone structure. So I want to try and capture that on the mini as well. And you can also see in the artwork itself, it is this blends of gold. And what I'm going to do is a dry brush with probably the Ghost Gray, I'm thinking. Once this dries, I'll have a better feel for it. And that's basically how I start breaking things down. I look at these different areas. I'm treating the accents as their own separate entity. So I know what colors I'm going to be using for these jewels that are on her armor. The feathers are going to be their own separate entity. The hair is its own separate entity. So I make notes for all of that. Even the paws, I have it noted what I want to do for them. So it just helps me when I go to work with a larger miniature to basically have a game plan set ahead of time. It makes it so much easier when you do that, so that when you go to paint, you're not getting overwhelmed. You're not thinking, oh shoot, I didn't think about painting this, now what I'm going to do. And it also helps with larger miniatures to start from the inside out. So think about working from, like you would get dressed in the morning, basically. So you start off with the skin, and then you start adding on, that's a new one, adding on the layers. So what I'm going to do today is I am going to start with getting the color onto her face, onto the body, and onto the paws. Then I'm going to focus on working on her face for a little bit, and then I'll do the hair, and then I'm going to work my way to the wings. So I'm thinking by the end of today, we will have all of that covered. I'd love to get the armor painted, but I am not sure if I will get there because, again, this is a larger mini, and this is a mini I'm going to be doing until it is completed. All right, this is a step-by-step process. You will see it in full. So it could be 2 weeks. It could be, she says as she looks at the time, could be 2 weeks. It could be 3 weeks. And it's one of those things where I am most likely going to be calling this by 2 p.m. today. So if you stick with me the whole time, fantastic. Love it. Thank you so much. If it's one of those things where you need to hop off, that's totally okay. Keep in mind, this will always be a VOD, video on demand, after I am done and just make a couple of different settings switches when I say bye-bye from the live stream. So you will be able to come back and catch what is going on with this when time allows for you. If you can't stay for the whole 2 hours, because trust me, I understand it. But my whole point is to make this accessible for beginners, to explain what's going on, to give you a feel for how my personal process works. And I will always say this to anyone getting into miniature painting or starting or kind of halfway there. Always look to a variety of painters because everyone has their own method and technique for how they like to use their brush and paints. None of it is wrong. Absolutely none of it is wrong. It works for that individual. And you may find that by looking at different miniature painting artists, that one speaks to you more in terms of how you enjoy the painting process. And if that's the case, that is wonderful. Then by all means, follow them, pick up some of the things they do. But by looking at other artists, you will also pick up other tips and tricks that you may not have considered that could be useful for you. So when I say this is what I am doing, is literally what I'm doing, but I'm not saying that you have to do it the same way. Hopefully that makes sense. By the way, teaching background. I'm going to be using Vallejo here for Dragon MK123. Dragon M. I'm going to start calling you Dragon M. So that is basically the nutshell of it. And while I have your attention, class, what I would love for you to do, especially if you have not yet, please click that subscribe button. All right, let's build the numbers here on this YouTube channel. Would love to see you subscribe. And also, if you're enjoying yourself thus far, listening to me chatter every so often, then please by all means hit that like button. I would very much appreciate that. So, let me see here. I'm just looking at the chat really quickly. Did I say hello, Philarius? If I did not, my apologies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip back over. Oh, we are overhead. We are at overhead. Here we go. So here we are. Basically, like I said, I like to paint with natural light because I'm getting this lovely, lovely burst of sunshine behind me. I do find it helps to have the light coming from over your shoulder or overhead. My personal preference is over the shoulder though. So you can see here, here is the mini. It does come primed ahead of time, so you can take it out of the blister and you could feasibly just go right ahead and start painting. Now, one thing I will say is that you may notice on the larger miniatures things called mold lines, and that is basically just the lines that sort of result from it being, you know, injected and all that sort of thing. If you want to get rid of those mold lines, you have a couple of options. You can go in, I actually will use an emery board. Okay, so just a simple nail file, the paper ones. You don't have to get fancy and get like the metal ones. Or you can use one of these specialty tools, which I also like to use. This curvature allows you to glide over the surface of the mini and just pull away those lifted mold lines so you get a more smooth finish, which is pretty much what I went ahead and did with her yesterday. I had to do a little bit over the wings. There was some on the wings. There was a little bit here on the jawline down her neck. And then there were some on the back here, which I actually approached with a file. There was a mold line that ran right along the back here, which I approached with my nail file, and it took it right down, no problem. And then just make sure you kind of dust it off a little bit. You don't have to wash these miniatures ahead of time. In fact, I don't recommend that you wash them because you could pull off the primer that is on these miniatures. So please be careful about that. If you ever have a situation where you want to say, I wanted to have her tail in a different position, you could do that. It's just a matter of heating up the plastic. I use a hairdryer, or I will use hot water. So you could move the tail around to the position you want and then just dip it in some ice cold water and the plastic will hold that memory. You may have to do it a few times, especially if it's something where you are repositioning, but that's just another thing that some people will do. They might, you know, shift how the wings are angled and everything like that. But she's basically ready to get going. So like I said, I am going to first start with oh, what was that? Yeah, see, Mike, I do not recommend knives because you can cut yourself. Really, that's why I don't recommend knives. I leave that completely up to you if that is your call, but I will never say use a knife. I've seen too many injuries in the Crafters Guild. So, hello, Jorge, how are you? Thank you for joining. I don't know why I just went into cheerleader voice, but hi. No, this is probably also because I made the mistake last night of taking the Excedrin migraine, which I forgot has caffeine in it. So I'm slightly sleep deprived, which means I get very punchy. So if anything, it's going to be entertaining. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in first with the model color sky blue, and it's a lovely sky blue color. I'm going to put this over here. I do have a fresh set of paintbrushes. These are my personal favorites. Remember, Vallejo does have their own brushes, but I'm not nice to my brushes. I really am not nice to my brushes. So I will always go for these simply because they're just available in my local area and I don't break the bank with them, but I do like them. So I'm gonna go in, I'm just gonna grab one of the slightly larger brushes so that I can get some good coverage on this. Make it quick and easy, so to speak. Provided I can, there we go. So this is the brush I'm gonna be using right now to get the sky blue on the face as well as onto the body. Yes, voices with V. Don't let V see my cleaning tools. Oh dear. Like I said, for reasons, I don't recommend knives for safety purposes. What you choose to do is up to you. Okay, so I'm gonna go in, and the nice thing is because I'm starting from the face out, you can actually work the paint into different sections. And let me just check the consistency here. I am also looking to make sure that this is not too thick. You want your paint to be the consistency of about a heavy cream, maple syrup. Yes, I use food references because those are something that people can most usually identify with. It makes it a lot easier. So I'm just thinning this out a little bit as I go. And then I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna start. You don't want the paintbrush too loaded up. If you have paint going all the way up to here, it's too much, okay? You may find that as you go along, yes, it's gonna happen. But always rinse your brush out every so often too. So basically what I'm doing is I'm working the tip of the brush to go in to the crevice here, where the hair is, and then move the paint around. And forgive me, I'm going to have my side to you, but I will still be discussing and looking over my shoulder. Let me see here. I have a quiz. Oh, and also, if you have a question, please be sure to type in question in bold. It'll jump out for me faster so I can see it. The Gamer's Room, when you remove mold line on pre-primed mini, the touch-up primer, I always have issues. You then see the seam between the new and the old primer. Simply thin it out more. Your primer is too thick if that is what is happening. So thin it out. You can feather it a little bit along the edges, and that should help you out with that issue that you're having. The primer that is put onto these minis are sprayed, which means you are going to get a different texture and consistency on the miniature itself. When you go in with a paintbrush, by nature, the paintbrush is going to have a slightly thicker coating than that of a spray. So I always recommend, if you're going to go back in with the primer to touch up more, you can just thin out the primer a little bit more, almost so it's like a wash. And then you can place it where you need it to go. So here we go. I'm just going to go and get, and I'm trying to keep the focus on her as much as possible. This is a big mini. I may have to pull off frame for myself to get in certain angles, especially with the tight space I have here right now. But I will always go back and show you what I just did so you can see. I can already tell I'm going to need to pull back a little bit just to get some more onto her face. Let me see. Yeah, the Vallejo primer is being recommended in the chat. You can by all means use that. You can also use other primers. That is fine. But it sounds like the biggest issue is the primer you're using is just a little bit too thick. Now by nature, hold on. This is gonna bug me. There we go. My cord dropped down from my webcam. We may find, or I may find as I'm going through here, this happens a lot with blue, I may have to go in and just do a secondary coat on the face. We shall see how this goes. Hello, PL Stowe. How are you? Or is it PI? Have I been saying PL and it's PI? The joys of the lowercase L and the uppercase I looking way too much like each other. But yes, this is one of those minis. I could not wait. Changing my position so the sunlight's not completely flooding it. I couldn't wait to start painting this because it is beautiful. Now, like I said, I am not a player of Magic the Gathering. And the lovely Scarlet Moth, that Scarlet Moth on Twitter, was an absolute dear and kind of gave me a quick rundown about Isperia in terms of Magic the Gathering lore. Really terribly interesting. I enjoyed that. They should be in the near future, Dragon, for the next round. But it was one of those things. I got the rundown from Scarlet Moth and got a very interesting perspective from her. And then I was just doing additional research on the lore. And I found it telling that this mini sort of had a couple different, or not the minis, the character had a couple different opinions about her. Some were more of a negative light. Others were more positive. Definitely strikes me as one of those characters where they are so fixated on the greater good, it's almost to their detriment, like borderline, jumping brands, Thanos. But it was very interesting to read up about Isperia. So if you are not familiar with Magic the Gathering and you just want a really cool Sphinx-like mini, by all means snag this, but I very much recommend taking the time and just looking into the character because it was very fascinating. Ooh! Thank you, Dan Dillon. Okay, so also look into Ravnica. Yay! Quickly checking the chip. It always cracks me up when I paint ears and I'm sticking the brush in their ear. I'm like, I feel like this is kind of like the mom using the Q-tip on the kid. You know what I'm talking about? Of course, they're like wriggling away. No, Mom! This is how my brain's functioning today, people. Enjoy the ride. So yes, we had a snowstorm for the past... It's Wednesday, right? Yes. Sunday, Monday. So, we're going to say 3 days because of when it started on Sunday. So for the past 3 days, it has been nothing but snow. Oh no, snow. And it just kept going. And I woke up this morning thinking, believing foolishly that the snow was going to be done. Hang on a second. I just want to look at... I believe that is still blue. Thinking that the snow is going to be done. Everyone can kind of start digging out all that goodness. It is still... Okay, not now, but it was still falling from the sky. I was not happy. I think I actually whimpered. That... I don't want to see it. So yes, we are looking at a decent amount of snow up here. And I actually thought it affected my internet connectivity this morning. And this is also, I'm going to quickly jump out of my little story. This is also why I like to work inside out for the bigger minis, because see right here, I need to get this blue in. I will make myself nuts trying to be perfect and clean and not getting anything on here. So I'm just sticking the brush in and okay, yeah, I jumped the line a little bit, but I know I'm going to go back over with the other color paint and it's going to get covered up. No harm, no foul. Okay, so don't worry about trying to make this absolutely perfect as you apply. That is something I do see a lot of people think they need to do. Not the case, especially if you're working from the inside out. because you know you're going to go back and be able to touch up and adjust accordingly. So anyways, the snow, right? What was I saying about the snow? Oh, yes, we lost internet this morning. So I thought, because the kids came running out, Mom, there's no internet. They're schooling from, I don't homeschool them. Their school offers an online option because of the world. So the kids come running out of their rooms, Mom, no internet. And I'm like, oh, you're right, no internet, because I was reading an article. So of course the article was fine, but everything else, and I chalked it up to, oh, you know, cable must have just gone out because of all the snow. No. For anyone who follows me on Twitter, especially, you know I have this little forever kitten named Rory. She is my feline teenage daughter. Tries my patience. I love her dearly, but oh my gosh, the most mischievous little cat I have ever had the joy of having in my life. I am going back over really quick now that this has dried a little bit and just adding a slight more bit of this blue to her face. She basically just walked herself onto the power strip and turned off the modem. That was my morning. But in the long run, good news, because that meant I did not have to worry, would I be able to stream? Answer is yes, I was able to stream. Hooray! And now you're all caught up. So I'm going in just carefully adding a little bit more. You want to be sure the paint is dry before you do that. If you try and apply another layer and the paint is not dry yet, you will actually lift the paint off. Not a good thing. But I could tell looking at the paint, because its glossiness had died down a lot, that it was okay to take on adding more of this paint to it. Okay, so back in we go. And I'm going to start adding blue to the body. And where is the body? Brownie points for whoever knows what movie that was in reference to. I also jazzed up, no pun intended, I jazzed up my music list because I'm finding it seems to be, after about a month, my background music soundtrack gets a little tired. So I went on this morning and just pulled some new music. I actually got it from the YouTube library this time around. It's not TechnoX. Normally I use TechnoX, but I just wanted to change it up a little bit more than usual. So I went into the YouTube library and pulled together just some nice mellow music. I want this to be a very chill, relaxing, zen-like time. So that for those of you who are just kind of keeping me on in the background, listen to me chattering along, you get this lovely little, easygoing, calming, take it minute by minute type of music. And again, same thing, I am not making myself aggravated by basically coloring outside the lines. Let's put it that way. Because I know I'll go back in and more fine tune with the color I'm going to be using for the armor instead. Pick your battles. That is always a thing with miniature painting. Pick your battles. If you have tricky angles and you see that ahead of time, make note of that and try and get to that tricky angle first and then work outside with it. Zen with V. Zen V. Oh God, please let's not turn that into a hashtag. I always find it not amusing. Amusing is not the right word, but I do get a lot of people saying that they like to watch the streams just because it calms them. And if I can do that for you, I am more than happy to, especially right now. So I appreciate your hanging out with me and getting to learn more about painting minis and seeing what minis we have to paint, but also enjoying yourself. It's a good thing. Same thing here. I am poking my brush just to get to these angles. It's a little bit, the thing is the cuts are beautifully deep and too late. The cuts are nice and deep in some of these areas. It just means you have to work the brush in a little bit more. And I do have okay, I have to pull this off frame so I can actually reach this because I need to. Sometimes you have to move the mini to you to see what you're doing. So you can see I'm just holding this. Hi. How. Y'all, I haven't DM'd in ages. I think it's getting to me. I think it might be getting to me. Not running games. Hence all the voices coming out of my mouth. Oh, well, thank you for that, Mike. I'm glad you enjoy it. It is a pleasure as always. That was Cantriel. Cantriel just, I am in a, hey, Jake, you still there? Jake! And Dan. Jake runs a game for Dan and myself and a few other lovely people called Dawnbringers every Thursday. And I play Cantriel, the very mouthy bard. I got a little bit too much brush. No, I got a little bit of paint on my brush, so I'm gonna, since I'm out of frame right now, I'm just gonna go in and get, while I can. But I also made sure if I have too much paint on my brush, I don't go into these tight spots. I'll like move it over to another area first and then go to where I need it to be. Like, get everything. Yeah, all right, so basically what I did, right through here, these tighter spots to hit. So it's just easier for me to pull it up and closer. So let me see here. Ooh, the chat's hopping around. If you have issues with really trying to get into spots, if you've been painting for a while, I'm rinsing my brush because heat's on, which means the paint dries out a little bit faster. Hence why I love painting in the summer times and doing blending in the summer because humidity. Haha, little tip. What was I saying? Oh, the brushes. If you have one of those paint brushes that kind of goes, makes a little hook, save those. I know people think they need to throw those out, but you can actually save them and use that to get into tight angles. Did I just get, I may have put blue on my face. I'm blue, bo-da-boo-dee. Calming is good. Some streamers, on the other hand, get people telling them it helps them sleep. You know, I've gotten that too. And I fully will, like, to me, it's kind of like, all right, so I'm sort of their bedtime story. Which I find absolutely endearing. I don't mind it. If people watch and fall asleep, then yay. For them, that's, you know, that's a good thing. They found something that helps them calm down, and with everything we're dealing with right now, my God. I'm not going to sit there in a huff like, you fell asleep listening to me? I'm more like, oh, put in, you fell asleep listening to me. Let me see here. Cantriel. Yes, Cantriel. She is the mouthy bard. She is a handful. She can try patience quite quickly if you're not careful. But can't wait to play her tomorrow night. We've been having a lot of fun in Icewind Dale. Which for me, with our Icewind Dale line, is always fun because, you know, meeting creatures and I'm like, I know what it looks like. Jumping down through the chat, what would be the best way to pop off the parts on WizKids figures? Some of them have details that can't be painted very well due to capes or shields. You know, sometimes I find that just by adding some heat, and you have to be careful with heat because you don't want to overdo it. Sometimes just adding heat, you'll be able to sort of wiggle and jiggle carefully. I will use that for kit bashing, especially when I want a piece of a miniature for another miniature that I'm putting together. Warm up the plastic and just sort of wiggle, jiggle to be careful. Okay, Calkins, you missed the rundown that I have other plans for this. This is the start of the base color. She's not going to be bright blue like a Smurf. Trust me, I'm working off the art and I'm seeing things that I need to hit first before going into doing other aspects of getting her painted up. All right, that takes care of the blue on that arm. I will get to the paws. I'm kind of working from top to bottom here. Yes, Dawnbringers is fun. We are a bunch of goofballs. So hopefully that helps you with how to pop off parts. It's not a guarantee. I cannot speak to it working every single time, but that would be my recommendation for it in terms of how I would do it. If, say, I wanted to get wings off. I did do it with the Pit Devil to pop his wings off on a miniature from a couple years back now, I think. Maybe a year back. That did work out nicely, just heating up the wings and out they popped. Just be careful. You don't want to overheat because then the plastic will start to basically cave in on itself and you run the risk of malforming it. So just be careful with that. Let's see here. Okay, so Kay Calkins is our Magic the Gathering expert. We're getting some background here. Excellent. I'm working off the art that is in the lower corner here. That is my point of reference. It is the art I pulled from one of the cards. And that is the rendition that I would like to capture today for this particular mini. Yeah, it's just, you know, like I said, you can move things around. Just be careful with how much pressure and force. That's the key word. Don't force things. Oh, that's cold tea. Little miniature painting tip. Put your drink away from your cups. I'm not kidding. Your water cups for rinsing and everything, do not put your drinking cup next to it. I mean, it is sort of part of the initiation process of being a mini painter. You drink from your rinse water and you dip your paintbrush in your drinking water, what have you. But I just find it's a lot more helpful to kind of move things. Okay, pulling back. And like I said, you're going to see that I have a lot of paint spatters happening on the edges. It's not worrying me because I'm going to go back in with this gold tone tan. And it's just going to hide all of that. I'd rather not make myself stressed. Because it shouldn't be stressful, darlings. It should be enjoyable. The Garisto is gorgeous. Oh my gosh. Curious about painting with the wings on and... Question. I'm curious about painting it with the wings on and not off. Why? Painter's preference, quite frankly. Some people prefer to paint the wings off the body so they can get better access to the armor and everything. Okay, I've seen many miniature painters, they'll take wings, they'll take capes, they'll take other more sizable pieces off of the miniature to then get to the areas they want to get into. But it boils down to what the painter prefers to do. For me personally, looking at this particular sculpt, it doesn't bother me. The Pit Devil, I did want to pop those off because there was such great musculature happening behind the wings that I just basically, like I said, I heated things up just slightly and managed to pop them off, and then I just put them back in. I do it on a case-by-case basis. I don't go in with the intention of every single big miniature or highly detailed accessory miniature that I'm going to pop things off. It also comes more from mini painters who also get into sprue style minis, which are the ones you have to assemble and put together yourself. And again, I'm just going to make sure I get the paint in here. Now with fur, it helps because this has a nice furry texture to the tail. Oh dear God, YouTube, do not ding me for furry. Things you don't think you have to worry about in conversation. But I'm just making sure I'm getting the paint in here between, put it in frame, between the armor and the tail itself, so that I have this nice blending. And I'm sure the wing is getting in the way right now. Yeah. She's being modest, y'all. She doesn't want to show this part, and there's really no good way for me to hold it to show you what I'm doing right now without the wing popping and saying hello. Oh, I like this song. Drink your paint cups. Yeah, drink the water and the paint. You're welcome, Ron. I try to do the best I can with answering questions. Yeah, we're all talking about the whoopsie. I remember the first time I did that, I like double whammied myself. I put the paintbrush into my teacup and I picked up my water cup and I took a sip. I'd like to say never did that again. But I'd like to say. Didn't actually. Whoops. Hold on. I also don't use, because of, she's actually a hefty miniature. There's some weight to this one. I don't use a holder because of all the different angles and stuff that I need to get to. And I find sometimes having a holder on the bottom very much will get in the way of things. So that's why I try and be cognizant of where I just painted. But of course I'm a chatterbox right now and I wasn't paying attention. So I'll just hold the mini and just make sure I'm hitting areas, holding areas that have not been painted up yet. But with fur, it helps to work with the grain of the fur, just to make sure you're getting paint into all those lovely detailed grooves. which is what I'm doing right now. So the fur is running along the vertical, so I'm running my paintbrush vertically with the texture of the fur. I just find that helps. Let's see here. Bottle drinks. Well, yes, if you like bottle drinks, but if you're a tea drinker like me... Hello, Shannon! Hi! How are you? Lovely to see you in the chat, my dear. Okay, I guess that was Mrs. Doubtfire just came out. I don't know what that was about. Okay, so there we go. I like how we're getting the back and forth of the embodiment of Isperia in terms of what the proper coloration and everything should be. That's also why I made sure I have over there on the screen my personal reference. With any miniature, especially because it is your miniature, paint it however you want. Quite frankly, paint it however you want. It is your mini, your table, your collection. If I had wanted to paint her metallic, I don't know, metallic green, how about that? I had to paint it metallic green. But in this case, I thought the artwork was just stunning from the card, so I wanted to use that. I really wanted to do the artwork from the card as my go-to reference. And it really does help having a reference to look to when you're going to paint, especially if you're new to miniature painting. Phenomena. I'm gonna keep working here. How are we doing on the time? We're at 12. Yeah, this is gonna go until 2 today, folks. I'll hang out with you until 2 and then I'll say my adieus. Where do I find inspiration for Sphinx riddles? That's a good question. How about the chat? Where do you like to find your riddles for your games? I tend to go and, let me Google that for myself. I'll look to Google and see if there's any out there, or just see if I can come up with one of my own. Lovely things like that. All right, I need to thin this paint up just a little bit more. It does help to have your paint thinned out for sure when you're working with fur textures, because it'll encourage that paint to go in deeper into the sculpt. I will say that. As soon as I get the tail painted up, then I'm going to get to her paws, is the plan. And we are still in frame. Yay! Am I in frame? I'm in frame, but I also don't want to get in the palette. All right, we're almost there. Almost. What's the deal with her tail? Do we have... it doesn't really show the base of her tail. A thesaurus. Ooh, cool. The Hydra is so much fun. Poaching. And this is why it's helpful to have a writer in the chat. Dan Dillon just gave a great recommendation. If you want to, you can go to the Tome of Beasts and Cobalt Press, which, hello, I love Cobalt Press's stuff. If you have not come across Cobalt Press yet, do. They have some really great sources as well for D&D and other tabletop games. So basically what happened with especially what inspired the type of music for today, I was letting my music YouTube account kind of just flip through different songs, and it landed on Lorena McKennett. And it was, which one was it? Dante's Inferno. Or Dante's Prayer is what the song is called. It's based off of phrases from Dante's Inferno. And Adam West. Oh, for the riddles. And I was like, oh, I forgot how much this music style relaxes me. So I was like, ooh, I need new music. Ooh, let's do like this style. So that's why it's, you know, the mellow, instrumentally, some slight vocals going on. You know, give the people something different each time. I'll probably stick with it for this series though. Because like I said, okay, I need to pull this closer to me so I can, it's the angle and the heft of the mini is making it so my hand's starting to cramp up that way. So again, I have to pull it off just so I can get what I need, and I will show you in the camera what I did. All right, so basically it was just making sure that I got, let's block the light a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Just got the blue on there. So now it's got to dry. Which Batman? Adam West Batman. I love it. I am going to, yeah, see, I wondered. And this has happened to me before with Sky Blue. Sometimes you just need to go in and just hit a couple of, not necessarily everywhere. Yeah, just those couple of points. And I almost feel like I'm doing makeup because this one actually has a face I can see details on without squinting. Okay. I think that takes care of blue bodabody on the skin. All right, so we're gonna let that dry. Need to rinse my brush. I don't know why I'm looking at my microphone. Joe Satriani. Is that another musician? I am unaware. Or maybe I am aware, I just don't... I am so bad at putting names to faces and works like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do while this dries, I'm going to go and I think do her hair next. Yes, that's what I have in my notes. Like I said, if you're just joining me later on after the fact, I keep a rundown sheet of how I... That's effective. I keep a rundown of how I'm going to do things. The joys of lighting and whites flaring out, whatever. So now for the hair, what I'm going to put on there is the purple from the model color line for Vallejo. And it is one of those warmer tone purples. So it's a medium purple with a warm undertone to it, which means it has more of a reddish color to it. So if you have a reddish medium purple, it's comparable to what I'm using right now. Alrighty? Like I said, I'm going to try and give you the paints outside of the brand names as well. Yeah, the bone structure is quite lovely. I'm a fan. And I'm waiting for a couple of peanut gallery people on that one. So I'm going to start with this. And again, this is its base color. I already know that I'm going to go over and do some dry brushing that's going to lighten it a little bit. Because if you look at the artwork, it has that purple undertone, but I'm going to go back in. What did I say? Stonewall Gray. I'm actually thinking I might even go in with the blue, the sky blue after the fact, and dry brush your hair with that to bring out the strand textures. Celtic Women. That's another good one, yes. All right, so same brush, rinsed off, using purple from the model line from Vallejo. And I'm just gonna start getting the paint in here. Definitely make sure you thin your paints, especially with this with the hair, because it has lovely texture to it. Lovely texture. And again, I know I'm gonna go back in with the armor, so I'm not as concerned if for some reason some of this bleeds against the armor. That's okay. I am going to be more careful though. I might even switch to a smaller detail brush as I get closer to the face. Did I miss her ear? Oh, I did miss her ear. Hold on. There's a little part of her ear poking out. So I am going to switch to a smaller brush for that one for sure. Favorite purple? It is a good purple. Surfing with the Alien. No, we're going for blue, not purple, V. I'm sorry, that's my table making interesting creaky noises right now. So there is this touch of ear right here. Forgive the Susian. Just going to duck in here and get some blue on the ear using a smaller detail brush. glad I caught that. It happens. It absolutely happens. You also may notice sometimes I will go in and use my hands as a blotter, just to pull off if there's just a little bit too much paint happening there. Okay, there we go. That's better. That's better. I dip my brush into water, Henna Sky, and I will add water to it as I go along. It's just sort of my approach to thinning the paint. So they are getting thin. There's just this, water over here. And I will take a little bit and add it to my brush and then mix what I have on my brush into sort of feathering the edge of the paint out. I do it in the wintertime when the paints dry faster, because I find if I thin my paints completely with the way my heat works, it'll dry the paints out super fast. And don't recommend a wet palette. I have tried wet palettes. I hate them. Yeah, the cases behind me, if everyone was asking about them, it's the same paints. All right, so I have 2 massive cases that Vallejo has sent me in the past. I'm working with those first, but Vallejo also has these great lines of paints that you can find at your FLGS, working with WizKids, licensed with WizKids. I just want to make sure I had them out in the back so you can see that this is a thing. By all means, check them out, but the reason why I'm not using them is because I already have the colors. So there's no need for me to open up a case again and get more paints opened up. So that would be why I am not using those. So basically, I just pulled my paintbrush out of the water. There's a little bit of water at the end here, as well as a cat hair. And I just let it go to the end here, and I will feather it like that. So that's how I thin my paints in the wintertime. I didn't even think about mentioning that because it's one of my little quirks. But yeah, just basically a little drop of water to get the paint to the consistency that I want it to be. Actually, that's too thinned. Sometimes the paint color also will dictate how much I want to thin it. And in this case, I forgot that this one can go thin on its own. Tuck it in here. I love the texture in this hair. It is fantastic. Oh, talking about Zen. I know when I'm getting quiet, I'm getting into it. I'm like, ooh, I'm painting the mini. Let's see here. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, how nice that you got to paint with your friends over Zoom, Filiarius. Filiarius, right? Yes. Every single time I see your name, I'm always worried I'm like not quite on the mark, and I could very well not quite be on the mark with that. I do try. And again, I'm going to paint this accessory bit after the fact. So I'm making sure I get this purple tucked in and against to cover up all gaps. There is a band here as well. Not like rock band, dude, rock on type of thing. It's a band of metal. At least it looks like it, right? Or is that her hair still? No, that's her hair. Never mind. Take it back. I take it back. I take it back. I was interpreting that as sort of like a diadem type of thing. Now I'm going to get a little bit more careful as I get closer to the face. And I probably will switch to a smaller brush in just a little bit. It's almost like a Marge Simpson beehive. Sorry, that's where my brain just went. Yes, I went there. I need to get some WD-40. Oh, well, I am so glad you got to do that. Thank you for sharing that with me. That's truly wonderful. If you're on socials, by all means, tag me if you want to share what you painted together. I'd love to see. That's the one thing that would be nice. YouTube does not have that built in. Just to be able to share photos with each other more instantly. But, well. What can you do? Oh, cool. Have fun with the paint nights. There are new ones coming out. The announcement should be going up soon for that one. I've enjoyed those kits, and I'm probably covering this with her wing, and I can't do anything about that. My apologies. But yeah, the new announcement should be going up soon for the next one. The ogre zombie is completed. That was a fun one to do. And of course, you had the manticore before that, and there's a dire troll and a red slod on deck. So keep your ears open for those. Those will definitely be fun. And they're really cool. The dire troll is the one that, like, fangs and talons dire troll. Really nice looking. Really nice looking. And those are miniatures that are also part of Wave 14. Just FYI, while I have you sitting here paying attention to me. Will there be reorders of the paint kits, or are they month by month? They're going to, it's every couple of months that they switch over to something new. It's how the paint night kits work out. And also, quick reminder, if you have questions, please be sure to throw question in caps and then ask your question so I can see it faster. Again, same thing. I am making sure I'm tucking this purple in and against so I can get all of those lovely little grooves taken care of. Oh, this is going to be so much. It's going to sound sarcastic. This is going to be so much fun to dry brush. And I genuinely mean that. Oh, well, thank you for joining, Dwight. Have a good afternoon for yourself as well. I will absolutely see you on the flip side on socials. Take care. Again, thank you. And like I said with the fur, it helps to run with the texture of the hair just to get the brush to guide the paint into those deeper sections. Which is why you're seeing me move her around a lot so I can get into these various strands. I'm getting into that area where I feel more comfortable dropping the paintbrush. Sure, let's drop the paintbrush. That's always fun. Getting into that area where I feel more comfortable, I'm going to switch to a detail brush soon. But for the greater portion of it, I wanted to use a larger brush as much as possible, just because it's a little bit easier that way. Just making sure there's not like a cat hair on it. Oh, that's gonna bug me. My apologies for the creaky sounds. I'm seeing some spots back here. Hold on, I have to pull this close to get to some angles. Sometimes there's just no way to paint a miniature with the camera hanging over your hand. So you have to pull back and out of frame. But it also gives you a chance to see how you might need to move your mini around to reach different parts. See, just had to get back into, there's a spot right back there I was not able to get to. I'm going to switch to that smaller brush now because we're getting close to the face and I want to make sure I am not painting the face purple. Granted, there is going to be some purplish tones going on because if you look at the like the muzzle area is what I'm calling it because she's a sphinx. There is that coloration that I want to incorporate. But not this intensity of purple. That's not the right purple that I want to use. It's actually more like a magenta. All right, so do I want to use this one? Yeah, I think I'll use this one. So I'm shifting over to this particular brush. And I'll go in. Yeah, it's a beautiful purple. It's nice and rich. Sometimes you run into colors that can be tricky on their own. Yellows can be tricky in terms of how streaky they can get. I'm trying to find a good angle here. Forgive. I'm going quiet because I need to think. You can see right now I have my pinky steepled against my opposite hands. By doing this, it gives you better brush control. So this is giving me the ability to get into that area I need to. And I know it's looking flared on the camera because the sun just decided to intensify itself, which... You are my sunshine. Thank you so much. Okay. but you can see I get a little bit more control by steepling this pinky there. I'm going to keep going around and getting these other spots. And I'm actually putting pressure on the mini itself now with my pinky. And I actually do not thin my paints when I get to edges like this. What I do is keep a bead of paint at the tip of my brush, and I find that gives me a little bit of extra control as to where that paint's going to go. So I actually use the bead of paint itself to get it onto the mini. I don't use the bristles of the brush. Make the paint work for you. I have to pull this out of frame so I can get to the angle I need to. There is no way I'm getting that holding it under the camera. It's just not happening. The closer and tighter you can bring a mini into your chest, sometimes the easier it is to get into those tighter spots too. Just FYI. Which is what I'm doing right now. And I highly recommend making a weird face. I just realized I did one. This is my I'm concentrating. See, I'm concentrating face. Very serious work. I can't help it. I'm going to make the face. So she has sort of this strand of hair hanging down. I'm trying to get as well. See right through here, underneath. So that's what I'm working on right now. That's what I'm trying to get. I just can't do it with the camera hanging over my hand. The quiet means concentration. It do. It absolutely do. Plus, you know, calming music. Yay. Sorry, folks, this is definitely a I need this closer to me than I need it under the camera. And I see a little spot where I hiccup, so I'm going to have to go back in and just quickly put a touch of sky blue there, but it's not too bad. Sometimes that happens. I'm still working on this little So you know what I'm going to do? Okay, so this has some give to it. So I'm just going to lightly bend this up so I can get here is what I'm doing. For anyone who's wondering how I'm going to reach that, I'm basically very gently bending that plastic up so I can then go in and get the paint where I need it. Slowly but surely. Patience, my dears, patience. Okay, see? I was able to get it because of that. And the plastic will relax itself back down, but I am going to take advantage of the fact that this is curled up a little bit so I can get in. Of course, the base is going to block it, but now I can get my brush in and get that a little bit better. Very carefully. Very carefully. And I am being a little bit more methodical with some points on her because it's such a gorgeous mini. I want to make sure she's looking good. Like, you know, G-U-U-D good. She's looking good. There we go. See? Mission accomplished. Yeah, we may be looking at a few sessions of painting for this one. I might even do something fun like, you know, if there's something to preview that, and then go into doing some miniature painting. We shall see. We shall see, my dears. Like right now, I just dip my paintbrush in a little bit of water to thin out the paint. Doodly-doo. I'm concentrating. Shh. I did have someone tell me once they were watching my stream and I got quiet because I was painting and they had to look up to make sure I was okay. It's like, I don't talk all the time. Do I? Do I? And for anyone who is lurking and listening, hello. Thank you for spending time with us today. And if you are new, welcome. You are not expected to participate in the chat if you do not feel comfortable doing so. Or if it's something where you're working. Working and lurking is what I like to say. I'll jump into chats and I'll be like, working and lurking, so people know I'm listening, but I'm still also getting work done. So I understand the working and lurking. The fun thing is I'm going to have to do those eyebrows too. That's a smaller brush. That is absolutely a smaller brush in a little bit. But I'm going to get her eyebrows purple as well. Alrighty. Let me get... Actually, does this... No! That does not pull away easily, so be careful here. I may have to pull her close again. This is where I wish I had how I was talking about hooked brushes, where the bristles are hooked slightly. This would be perfect for that. Just so I can get in here a little bit better. Yeah, I'm going to pull it off so I can get a better look at what I am doing here and bring it closer for better control. Well, thank you for hanging out, Mike. I'm glad you could join us for a little bit. Have a lovely rest of your day. I'll make a point of taking a picture of her too and sharing her so people can see like mid-progress. That's always helpful to see too. So I'll make sure to do that when we're done. But yeah, I'm going to call this at a little under an hour. So at 2 o'clock, we're going to call it closed for the day. And we'll see how far we get with her. I keep saying we. By we, I mean me. Not that I'm royal or anything, darling. I just play one on TV. Nah. Not really. So I'm working on getting that area painted right now, which is why it's closer to me, so I can control the paints and the brush a little bit better. They're just sometimes under a camera. Don't cut the mustard. What does that mean anyways? Cut the mustard. I use the phrase, I don't even know what it means. I should look that up, shouldn't I? Unless we have a linguist expert. The royal we. I watched The Crown, so maybe that's why I'm picking that up. Oops! Honey, I ain't no royalty. Must be kind of royal pain in the you-know-what. I'm kidding. I am kidding. If you take yourself too seriously, if you can't laugh at yourself, what's the point? Oh, okay, another have to pull this. This hair is nooks and crannies mode, I tell ya. My apologies. I need to keep this as close to my face as possible to get to these angles. There's a weight in there somewhere. For those of you who don't know me, sometimes I will say something without thinking, and then I'll go, wait! Because I realize it doesn't quite sound the way it sounded in my head. I don't think I've had a big weight on here, so that's good. In games? Absolutely. Yeah, we've had that a couple times. In fact, they've even been clipped on Dawnbringers. Oops. Okay, so here we go. So basically what I had to do to pull her in close is to work it so I can get this portion of her hair, but not get it onto the throat and the neck. In fact, there's a little bit more I would love to get. Oh, I might be getting picky. Yeah, I don't dare to. This is getting to be... Now I'm getting picky. So I'm going to try and get this last little bit here, near the ear. Again, I'm going to be quiet because I'm concentrating. This is that little bit where I realized we had an ear because it's such a small little amount. If you ever get a little paint where you don't want it, couple options. Wait for it to dry and paint over with the right color. Or, let me see if I can catch it. Yeah. You can also take a paintbrush, clean one, a little bit of water, and just pull the paint off. And there you go. Okay, so that takes care. Just doing a quick check here. And there's a little bit I want to get there. This pretty much takes care of her hair color. Interestingly enough, sometimes the camera shows little bits that you may have missed before. Again, all of this is going to get edged out more nicely once I put the gold on there. Of course, Dan. All right, so Dan was researching Cut the Mustard. Apparently clear why Cut the Mustard, first recorded used as an O. Henry short story. Oh, no pun intended. No O for the O. Henry. Well, see, that's like the phrase toe the line. Okay, kids, sit down and buckle up. You're going to get a little lesson here. Toe the line has a couple of connotations, and there are reasons for that. Toe the line, it depends on how you're spelling the word toe, and people don't realize this. And what happens is if you're using T-O-E, toe the line, it actually means that you're challenging. Because if you go into Parliament, once upon a time, there were actually these lines on either side. And those lines were there because basically if you put your toe there and pulled out your sword wouldn't reach across to the person, so you couldn't have, an impromptu duel. So if you were towing the line, T-O-E-I-N-G, towing the line, it meant that you were challenging something. You were getting close to a dangerous topic type of thing. Then you also have towing the line, T-O-W-I-N-G. Towing means pulling your weight, helping out. So just a fun little it's not a full non sequitur. We were talking about origins of phrasing. But that's just something to keep in mind when people say someone's towing the line. I always like, well, which toe? Are they doing their work, or are they, challenging things? To add an ingredient that cuts the zesty flavor of raw mustard. Oh, okay. Very interesting. I like it. Thank you, gentlemen. Actually, I'm assuming gentlemen. Thank you, Dan, and hey, nice guy. I want to say, are you a nice guy? No, I'm kidding. Totally kidding. Oh God, I told you I'm running on slightly punchy from lack of sleep. Okay, so we have Next challenge is going to be the eyebrows. So I'm going to jump to a very different brush now. And in this set, I like this wee little bitty for the details. This is my go-to detail brush. Tiny little at the top, and it's not a long brush, it's shorter, so I feel I personally get more control that way. I need to sip some cold, very cold, somewhat yummy tea, although the fact it's cold is not quite as yummy. Okay, there we go. And I'm gonna get her eyebrows. And I'm actually gonna do that bead of paint thing that I've spoken of. Just gonna get my brush lined up, steeple my pinky against the miniature itself, and I'm gonna let the brush float on the raised surface of her eyebrow. And I am speaking like a robot because I'm actually speaking between my breath. Okay, there's one. She got brows. Jury's out. Well played. Hey, nice guy. Hey, nice guy just said, jury's out on that. I drink my players' tears right in front of them. Nice. Maybe that's part of the name. Okay, I also will rinse the brush between beads of paint because I like to start off with another fresh bead before going on to the other one. And make sure there's not too much water left on the brush. This is serious stuff here, folks. Okay. Now I'm trying to find a good angle for this side. This is always the trick, finding the right angle. Not a literal right angle, but a good angle, I should say. I'm thinking... Okay, she is browed. Ta-da! There we go. I can't talk sometimes. There's no way of doing the little details and talking through that. All right, so let me see here. I think what I'm going to do now is her eyeballs. And then, you know what, let's do a quick switch here. We're gonna look at a bigger shot of this. So you can see here, around the muzzle, she has this pinkish tone going on, which I want to get on there first, along with the eye color. All right, so those details are things I want to hit today, which I'm going to do right now. Once I finish that, I think what I'll do is then hop over to, oh, that's right, I didn't do the feet yet either. Actually, no, I wanted to check the feet. Do we have, I'm going to check the feet. So what I'll do is, because I think that's armor. Yeah, that's armor. That's why I didn't do the feet. So the feet here are actually armor. So I'm going to do like boots. So I will do that anon. And what I want to do is this muzzle detail and her eyeballs on the face. So that's my focus now. So I'm going to flip back over to that. I'm looking at my notes. Like I said, I always keep detailed notes ahead of time of what I want to do. So I'm going to do ghost gray on her eyes. And then we're going to switch to a different purplish tone. Here we go with ghost gray. Ta-da! I like that "Hey nice guys" is the last comment right there. And sticking with the same little detail brush that I have for the eyeballs, because quite frankly I need that to make sure I can get the eyeballs done as I want. So I'll get the face, and then I'm going to do those feathers, and then I think I might jump into the wings. I think that's going to be my order of operations. We'll see how far we get. So same brush. The trick is getting it at an angle I can see and I feel comfortable painting the eyeballs. There we go. There's one eye. I need to get the other eye. Which, yeah, I have to pull this one out so I can reach it better. It's just one of those angles. And make a funny face. That too is required. So here she is glaring at you now. All right, there's also that little touch I want to put back on since I have my needle brush out. There's just that one little spot where I hiccuped with the purple. So I'm gonna go back in and, where'd it go? Where did it go? I saw it before. Did I already fix it? No. Oh, I need to get that fixed. There it is. So right here. Purple hiccup just a little bit too much onto the face. So just fixed it right there. Okay, so that takes care of the eyebrows and the eyes. And what I will do with the eyes is actually put a gloss varnish on them so they shine and have a glow to them. I might even take one of my pearlizing paints that I have, effects paints, and put that on her eyes because of that really pretty glowing gray color. I think I might do that. But that'll be for another day, not for today. Let's talk about this muzzle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with Warlord purple from the game line. Okay, not the model line, game line. And I'm going to do a little bit of dry brushing just to start to play up the nose and the lips. I will paint the lips with this color and then I will do the dry brushing. But for dry brushing, that means I need a different style brush. So I'm going to go for, this is what I'll use for dry brushing. Nice flat. Yeah, I have not used this color in a while, so I need to shake this up. Shake it up. All right, and we're at 1, 2, 3. That's like one of my favorite number combinations. Don't ask. I like numbers like that, yo. Okay, just a little bit. I don't need a whole bunch. So just a little bit is on my palette. And back to the Wee Detail brush so I can get the lips done. There you go, so you have the information on that. She does have beautiful lips, so. Like I said, this kind of feels like I'm doing makeup on someone. Actually, I'll do a touch there. Is that in frame? Yes. I'm giving you the cold shoulder so I can get the lipstick going. Or her lips, I should say. I'm just letting it dance. And I am going to have to pull this back so I can get better control. So I'm pulling this close to my body just so I can control the paint a little bit more. All right, between my table and my chair. Creaky creaks. Someone remind me post-stream. Get the WD-40 going. Bear with me, folks. I almost have it. Don't laugh. I actually need to hold her as if I was doing someone's makeup. This is my muscle memory kicking in. Doing makeup artist stuff. I can't hold her that way. I have to hold her upright and facing me. How funny is this? This is fully not intentional. Alright, let me quickly do something. I had just a slight hiccup, so I'm going to take... See, I want to fix the one lip a little bit. It got a little bit higher than the other one. So I'm just going to go in with some blue. But in this case, like I said, you're going to find things that work for you. I actually need to have her facing me like I'm doing her makeup. Yep. I was not able to do that with her in the other angle. Go figure. Okay, now we have the lipstick on. Well, thank you, Shazam, for popping in during your lunch break. Hello! Yes, Dracoliches. Those are going to be coming... Oh, maybe that's what I could do. Because they're both WotC. So maybe what I'll do for the next couple of series, or parts of the series here, I'll show you the Dracoliches. There's a green Dracolich and a blue Dracolich to the Boneyard collection. I was going to be doing an unboxing of those in the near future. So yeah, I'll do that. What I'll do is I'll unbox Lich next week and probably a Lich the week after. So you guys can see these. All right, so here we go. Her lips are done. Now what I want to do is go into the same purple. And I'm just going to lightly take this over her nose and around her chin. Because if you look at the artwork that I'm using from the card, that's sort of the pattern she has going on there. So I'm just putting some of the paint onto the brush. If you haven't seen dry brushing before. In this case, I am really pulling as much of it off as possible so that it starts looking streaky like that. So it's barely loaded onto the brush. See that? And then I'm just gonna go in here and start lightly doing this across. And this is one of those things where it's better to have a little and layer than too much and regret it. So it's just starting to dust and blush onto her. I'm still laughing over how I had to face her up to, like, you know, do her lipstick, but hey, it's a thing. So really I'm just focusing on pulling the brush down because I want to get it to look similar to what's going on here with her artwork. Focus on that nose because I do want to bring out the tip of the nose. And then just carry it down the chin. And then I will feather it. And it's not going to be as intense because I am going to go back over and do envy my corporate swag. The blue one is gorgeous, yes, of the Dracoliches. If you want to see what we're talking about, go to dndmini.com and search out Boneyard. So right now this looks intense, but I also know I'm doing another layer of, where's my camera? Another layer of the, no, is it Stone Gray I was going to do? No, I think it was Ghost Gray. Stonewall Gray. It was Stonewall Gray. So because I know that color is going on top, I know the intensity is going to drop down again. So the other thing to keep in mind is when you introduce different layers of colors to each other, what the end result of the color is going to be. It's a thing. It's a thing that happened. But right now, you have that going on. So you can see it is like that is what I'm looking at. I know right now it looks like she's got like a goatee going. So this is the Stonewall Gray. This will all start making a little bit more sense. A little more sense. Actually, that's a little bit darker than I remember it. Maybe I will do the ghost gray. Let me look at the picture again. It's honestly, it's a great image. I'm looking at the title of my frame. It's a great miniature for anyone. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go ghost gray. Stonewall gray is a touch too dark. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna do ghost gray. I'm not gonna do the stonewall. Take it back, folks. I take it back. I just want to make sure I really have this Warlord off my brush. So I'm rinsing really super well right now. I'm also looking at the picture before I go any further. Okay. Okay. Think. All right, so dipping the same brush into ghost gray. We're gonna do some dry brushing across the whole face now. And I am floating this across her features. And again, it's better to have lighter layers. One of the cats is knocking at the door. Than to go in strong with heavy layers. But you can see how that just changed everything. Okay. I'm gonna keep going with a little bit more here. Oh, I need to get that fixed. Hello, Patrick from Sweden. Thank you for joining us. Just doing a little bit of light dry brushing on the face here of the Isperia mini. Toning down the bright blueness of her skin with some ghost gray. And I'm using the artwork from the Magic the Gathering card for her. So I'm just basically going to keep going in with this ghost gray until I get it to where I want it to be. Hold on, I do need to switch. This is how I work though. I always switch back over to the reference. Yeah, I want more. Definitely want more of that. Okay. How is it in Sweden, Patrick? How's the weather? How do you fare? And I am making a point of pulling from top to bottom for this. I'm not changing directions on how I am pulling this down on her face. I want a little bit more for those cheekbones. Oh, funny. Good reference. Good reference. Focusing on the cheekbones now and the jawline because I want to bring, that's my micro. I'm looking at my mouth. Hi. I'm focusing on the cheekbones and the jawline now with the ghost gray. And now the chin. Layer by layer, building that up. Snowy. Same here. Very much same here. I am going to go in just a little bit here to tone down the lips ever so slightly. There we go. So you can see your features are popping out more. I am going to change direction just to get that jawline here. Right here. I want to get that part. Yeah, look at that. She's got this gorgeous structure to her face that I want to bring out. Just take it as I go. A little touch of color here and there. I will bring it across the ear. We do want the ear to get that too, and I think what I'm going to do is just... I want her cheekbones popping, y'all. The same over here. Just a little bit more on that jaw. Do-do-do. Oh, that's awesome that they have the Warlock tiles. I don't know why I just split that sentence. Yeah, that's wonderful news. Happy to hear it. I am going to work on these cheekbones just that much more because I'm liking how they're looking as they're getting more highlighting on them. Debating, I think I might do a gray wash on the skin. All right, I'm gonna get the bridge of her nose now. If you're ever curious when it comes to painting facial features on minis, and I have said this in the past, it actually pays off in leaps and bounds to watch makeup tutorials. Because they focus on the same thing we focus on in terms of bringing out details. And they'll give you tips and tricks. Contouring. Look up contouring and highlighting. Pretty much similar tips for when you're painting miniatures. So right now I want to bring out the bridge of her nose more. Yeah, I'm liking this. I'm going back to those cheekbones again. It's such a gorgeous face. It's getting a bit blurred out by the light, but I'm gonna do a little bit, just lightly brushing the brows. Nothing too crazy. Yeah, you can really see her bone structure popping out now. Let's get a closer look in the light here. Still want to get more. I'm not kidding. Still want to work on these cheekbones just a little bit more. Because see, now you get that nice little divot of the blue there. We're blending and we're blending and we're blending. This is quite true. And we're blending. And we're still blending. Guess what? Still blending. Yoink. the nose. Doodle-doo. More on the chin. I'm thinking for now, I'm going to leave it there, which means I'm going to move this down her throat, continue with the ghost gray to bring out her throat more. Because you get these great details of the tendons. And I want to bring those out too. See that right there? Look at that. I'll just take a little bit going back here. Sometimes what I'll do is when I see the highlight building itself up, I'll actually run the brush like right here. Just to give it a little bit more, side to side. Do the same here. So I want to bring out that feature more. It gives you that. And then pull it into here. All right, give me just a second. I'm slouching. I need to stop slouching too. Two sets of the Warlock tiles. Oh, excellent. Yes, the cross compatibility with open lock and dragon lock stuff is definitely, that was an intentional thing. So I'm glad that worked out for you. I really am. Good to hear. Good news. All right, I'm going to keep going here. Oops. I swear I'm hearing thunder. I don't know why. There, so we get more of that grayish coloring. So see, she's not bright blue anymore. She's not Smurf blue. Knowing that that was going into play. And I think I am going to do a gray wash on her. And that'll drop it into. I just answered your question. I'm going to do a wash at the end. I like to do my washes towards the end. That's sort of how my eye works. So I will do a gray wash on the face and the body. For absolutely sure. I do need to get more of the ghost gray out so I can continue around with the body. And dry brush the fur texture there. I should be okay with this. Do I have a bigger one? Yeah, I'm going to jump up to a slightly bigger one for the body. Otherwise we'll be here forever. Or do I have it with me? I might have a big, hold on. I'm gonna go off camera for just a second. Yes? Maybe? Perhaps? Okay, I'm back! There's a brush I love to use for larger that I want to use, so I'm going to use this one because I love the way this works. I'll use that on the tail. But I'm going to my larger. There we go. Back into Ghost Gray. You can move over there now, my dear. And now I'm going to take this. And bring out the texture here on the body. Because I'm really trying to capture the coloring she has in the artwork. And basically I'm just working my brush side to side against the grain of the fur. Remember I said go with the grain of the fur when you're applying the blue? Now you go against it. Yeah, I have a feeling next week we're going to be doing the wings. And the last week we'll do the armor, I think is how this is going to shape itself out. So what I'll do is a quick unboxing in the beginning, do some more painting, and we'll get there. But see, now you can see all that texture being brought out. I love it. I love it. Yeah, the whole body's gonna get a gray wash. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna get the rest of the legs. Well, that can be reached. Not quite sure how much I can get in here. A little bit. Nothing too drastic. Nothing too drastic there. Quick little for that. Oh, there's some on this side too. Okay. Let's see if I can get this in here. I do want to try and get this little tight spot through here. There we go. And now I'm going to get this side. Again, working across the grain of the fur, not going with the grain of the fur. Like when I was putting the blue on the skin, or the fur, I should say. Oop, hold on. That was way too much. Just basically taking the other brush now and pulling that extra paint. There we go. Accidents happen. Remember what Bob Ross says about those. Happy little accidents. Oh, very cool and welcome. Let me see. Gunpla Franny? Is it Gunpla? Is that how we say it? Thank you for joining. It's a lovely piece. It really is truly beautiful. All the little details. Thanks for jumping in and saying hello. How are you enjoying painting this particular miniature? And are you painting it to the official artwork, or are you doing something different? I always love seeing and hearing what people are doing with their miniatures individually. It's such an adventure each time. It really is. Oh, I tell ya, I have to make some presentation slides this afternoon, and I'm like, but I want to paint. But I really want to keep painting. That's the problem when I get into something that I'm really enjoying, like this particular piece. I would probably lose the whole day to it and just let myself get lost in it. It's been a while since I painted all day, I will say that. Time management, yo. All right, I've been talking to Miguel Zavala too much. He always does that. Oh, I love the details here. Look at that. See, this is why I was not getting concerned with some of you were like, oh, that's really blue. I know it's really blue. I want the undertone of the blue because of the color I'm going to work on the top. So she still has that bluish tone like what's going on in the official artwork, but it's not blue. She no smurf. She no smurf. play around with her eyes a little bit, seeing what happens with the wash. Very similar to the artwork, doing opals. I'm going in the same direction with the gemstones. I'm following. I'm going to make them look like opals, hopefully. And that is my plan for the jewels. See, it's fun to compare notes. That's honestly what I miss about paint-alongs, like at conventions, whatever the heck those things were, when I would do the paint instruction appearances that I used to do. It was fun to see what people wanted to do, if they asked they could do it and everything like that. So I missed that part. I missed the comparing notes and chatting and getting excited about, oh, well, I'm going to do this. Yeah, I'm going to do that. And then riffing off of each other. It's a wonderful thing. I need some more of this paint, the ghost gray, because now I'm going to do the tail. And I'm switching to this larger brush because I want it to float more across. The smaller brush is not going to float quite the way I need it to. You can see all this fantastic texture here. But now it starts doing this, which is what I wanted. And because it's a wider brush, it doesn't get into the nooks and crannies as easily, like a smaller one would. So I find it's much easier for larger swaths like this tail to jump to my larger brush. Sigh, safe conventions, word. Right? I am forever grateful that my last convention was PAX U, because that's a good one. That's like my convention, which I know sounds silly, but it's in a great area of Philadelphia. You just get to see so many wonderful people there. I do terrain things and painting classes there. So for me, it's a wonderful chance to connect with the creative side of tabletop roleplay. And then also do panels and such. I mean, don't get me wrong, conventions are work for me, but they're still a lot of fun to do the work at. I still enjoy getting to meet people and, you know, touch base. Hand out my die when I remember. Forgot a few times for that one. Oops. The funny thing was, I was going to order like the 3rd edition of the Crafting Muse die. And that didn't happen because I didn't go through as many as I thought. Because ECC, did I say enough C's? Didn't happen. Luckily, I hadn't placed the order yet. All right, so basically I'm just moving this around to bring it out. You met me there! Altheria, hello! Oh, see, I love how small worlds happen. So good to see a familiar name in the chat. And Shannon, oh, how funny, I got to meet you. See, I'm terrible with screen names and actual people. That's so much weird. When, where, who, what, where, why, when, and how. Now I'm going to grill you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to finish up the tale and then we're going to call it for today too. I just realized what the time was. Yeah. What day did I meet you? Where did I meet you? Refresh the memory. Not to sound obnoxious, but I did meet a lot of people, so sometimes it doesn't always register with me right away. And forgive me for that, because I do very much enjoy meeting people. And sweep. Oh, that's fun to bring out. Look at that. I like that. That's also why I like using the larger brushes here. And I am going back and forth, building it up as I go. Let's see here. Cobalt. Oh, how fun! Hey, did you meet, you probably met Dan then too, because he was at the booth too. That was a fun meetup. That's when we were both DMs for Cobalt Press. Not gonna lie, I do miss it. But Every story has their conclusion. And honestly, with The Last Dare, it was time. It was absolutely time for The Last Dare to bring it to a close. Wonderful group of players. I very much enjoyed building that world for them, but it was time to bring it to its conclusion. Who knows, maybe something in the future, though. Never say never. Oh, Girls Got Tail. Wait. Wait. Oh. Well, Isperia, I'm not sure about the sane part. And if you've been with me this whole time, you just got one of my weights. Oh, Lord. But I am definitely happy with how this is looking with the ghost gray put over the sky blue and a dry brush. It's definitely getting her more towards what I want to see. There really were great people at the Cobalt Press booth. What I'm going to do with that is have it look like a, well, just as we were talking about with Shannon, a pearl. I'm looking for like an opalish pearl look. Yes, I pulled a weight. That was completely and utterly a weight for me. Yeah, I think I'm going to call it for here today because we're getting right to 2 o'clock. But I am quite happy with the fact that we're able to get the body done. And she says as she keeps going. And get the dry brushing done. So basically for me, the body is set. I'm happy with how the face looks. A wash will be going on to it. Yes, I always do my washes at the very, very end. So what I'll do next week, the plan is going to be, we're going to do the hair, the feathers, and the wings will be next week. The week after that is definitely going to be the armor. So this is going to be a 3-part series, everyone. And I will do some unboxing. So what I'll do is I'll unbox the... Throw it in the chat now. Let's see. Just put in the chat, do you want to see blue? Do you want to see green? Which Dracolich do you want me to unbox next week from Boneyard? I will do that for Boneyard. I will unbox one of them in the beginning and I will show it off at the very end. And then I'll do another couple hours of mini painting for Wednesday next week. So we'll get the wings, the feathers, and her hair finished up. And then last week we'll be getting the armor, the jewels, and quite frankly, the ground I don't worry about too much. That I might do off screen, off camera. But this takes care of her for so far. So actually, it's pretty good progress for the size of the miniature it is and the fact that now the body is essentially... Tell me to stop, tell me to stop, tell me to stop, because I'm just going to keep doing this. Stop. Let me flip this up. Let's flip this to main screen. Okay, so it has been a lovely, lovely 2 hours. I very much enjoy getting to share this time with you. I hope you enjoyed it too. I hope you've gotten some tips and tricks and little things that'll help you out if you're especially getting into miniature painting, or if you've been at it for a little while and I kind of approach things from a different angle than you might. I'm going to keep going with this. I cannot wait. It is a beautiful, beautiful miniature. If you are interested, and again, this is the Magic the Gathering Unpainted Miniatures Isperia Law Incarnate Miniature. Information is down in the description below in terms of SKU. Suggested MSRP of $14.99. Please be sure to reach out to your friendly local game store, your FLGS, and see if they have this in stock. If you are not sure where an FLGS might be near you, that's where you want to go to this link right down here that I'm pointing to right here. Go to that link, plug in your information, and it even gives you like how far you're willing to travel. Plug in your information there. Turquoise is not an answer. Green or blue. And it should pop up stores near you that you're willing to travel and show you who carries WizKids products. Right now with everything going on in the world, just make... Whoa, my microphone moved on me. Everything going on in the world right now, just make sure that you do contact your FLGS first to make sure that they are either open, that they are offering curbside pickup, that they might be doing scheduled pickups, or they might even ship directly to your home for an extra fee for shipping. There are many out there who are still open and doing what they can, so reach out to them, let them know you are interested in getting something from them. If you do all of this and it turns out, nope, there isn't one near you, you can always go and check online, things like Mini Market and everything like that. They will have it too, hopefully. So definitely go that way if you don't have a one nearby you either. And What was I going to say? Oh, if you've enjoyed yourselves today, please don't forget, hit that like button. It always helps out in the long run. And if you have not, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. And that way you will be here and joining us. And I will see you next Wednesday, like I do every Wednesday, for another episode of Miniature Mayhem, where we're going to be doing an unboxing of one of the Dracoliches from D&D Icons of the Realms Boneyard. Still not sure of color yet. I'm seeing blue. I'm seeing green. Let me know. Do you want to see blue or do you want to see green? Just throw a color out there. And I will go back and I will count and see which the winning color is. But it'll be one of those. I'll unbox that in the beginning. Then we'll get back into painting more of Isperia. I'm hoping to get the wings and the feathers and the hair addressed next week. And then the week after that, I will unbox the other Dracolich from the D&D Icons of the Realm Boneyard and finish her up. That is my hope. This was lovely. This was wonderful. I am going to... No, Ron, you can only vote once, sweetheart. Nice try. Blue, blue, blue. So anyways, I'm going to wrap this up and say what I like to say every single time. Be good to yourselves and be good to each other. I will see you on the flip side, and I'll actually take an in-progress photo of her too, so you can see her. I'm going to put her on the tweeters. It's usually my place to go. And until next week, everybody, thank you so much for spending the past 2 hours with me, and I'll see you then. Bye!